Hi guys, I'm super excited because we are bringing the magic back. We are going into this magical month of April where we're gonna dive into the Harry Potter world with the OWL Readathon. So hi and welcome, I'm Melanie, and today I'm going to give you some recommendation based on the prompt for the OWL Readathon. So if you don't know what it is, I will put the videos here from G over at Book Roast. She's the one who made the Readathon and is hosting it. It's the third year this is going on. It's based on the magical world of Harry Potter. If you have read the books, you know that during the course of their life at Hogwarts, they have to pass two big exams, one in the 5th year and one in the 7th year, in order to get their degrees and diplomas and then go into their career. So G based her readathon on that, and she made a full guide of like over 20 or 25 careers you can choose from. Like you can become a magical librarian, or you can become a spellmaker, a curse breaker, a potioner, and anything you want in the Harry Potter world. Like you can become a horror like Harry Potter pretty much. So yeah, it's just amazing. And depending on which career you choose, you have to study for different theme and class based on what's going on in the Harry Potter world. And she made a prompt based on those classes. So you have Charmed, Herbology, care of magical creatures, blah blah blah, and she made it into prompts, and those prompts give you books to read. And so yeah, some of them are quite specific, and I myself was trying to figure out which career I was going to do and which books I was going to read and for which classes and stuff, and I thought it would be fun to give you some recommendation. If you want to know which career I'm going from and which book I'm reading, I will have another videos out. My OWL TBR will be there, so if you want to know that, go to that video. I have printed for myself the little guidebook. I only printed the pages I was interested in, so you can choose your career that's in between those two pages, and then you can choose courses, seminars, and training, and those require you to read 1 or 3 more books depending on how challenging you want it to be for you. And so you have different things. It's not all of it, but for example, you can train to be an animagus or a dragon tamer, or you can learn some mirror people, linguistics, stuff like this. And on the back I have prompts, so that's why you will see me standing here with this paper. So the first class you can take, it's ancient runes, and for this one we're studying the heart rune. So it's any book with a heart in it or heart on the cover, and I've put all of my books on the ground. I looked at all of them that I have here. Some parts that are at my parents because I'm still living between 2 places, and I didn't find any books of mine that I would recommend that have a heart on it. So I thought of one that I don't have a physical copy, but I really do love, and it's called Heartstopper by Alexandre JOLLIEN, and it has heart in the title. It's the story of it's a graphic novel of 2 young men that goes to high school and kind of fall in love with each other, and yeah, so that's what you can read for that prompt. Then we got Arithmancy. It's a magical quality of number 2. Balance opposite. Read something that's outside of your favorite genre. That depends on what you usually read. Like, I don't really know how to recommend anything for you specifically, but I will tell you what I could choose from. So what I would recommend is, for example, a classic play, a Shakespeare play. I've read recently Romeo and Juliet and really enjoyed it, so maybe you could try that. Then I have The Fountains of Silence by Ruta. It's a YA historical fiction. I don't see a lot of that anywhere, and that's something I haven't read myself yet, and I thought it could be a nice change. And then something I've read that was outside of my comfort zone at the time I've read it, it's this one is Starside by the Skyward series by Sanderson. It's a YA science fiction novel, and I would really recommend if you're not used to that genre. And I would recommend some French classic to you if you want to try some plays by Molière that are very nice, like Tartuffe, Le Bourgeois Gentilhomme. I will put a selection here, and some Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Around the World in 80 Days. There's so many good Jules Verne that you can choose from. Travel at the Center of the World, I hope. I'm trying to translate what I know from French, so we'll see if that works. Next one is astronomy, and it's read majority of the book when it's dark outside. You can read pretty much whatever you want. You don't need me to give you a recommendation. And then we have Care of Magical Creatures. It's Creature with a Beak on the cover, and I didn't really have anything, and this is not a class I'm going to take, so I don't have any recommendation for you. And then there's Charms with a white cover, and can you see it coming? Sanderson, of course. Brandon Sanderson, the UK cover of Brandon Sanderson are usually white with a little bit of color. So yeah, if you're starting with Brandon Sanderson, I would recommend the Mistborn trilogy to start. It might be a bit impressive, but the books are quite chunky, but it's YA and it's super compelling. The story is so nice, so I would recommend for you to start there. If you already know Sanderson's work and you're scared about the length of his best trilogy, the Stormlight Archive, I would recommend it to you. I started last month or the months before, and it's awesome. Guys, you need to start this trilogy. It looks very daunting, but it is so good, I assure you. And please read Mistborn First Era just to get into Mistborn Second Era, because it's so good. So it's worth to read Mistborn First Era just to get to the Second Era, because it's amazing and I'm loving it. Those two series seems a bit too daunting. Do, like me, start with Warbreaker. I don't have a physical copy of it yet, but it's the first book I started with Brandon Sanderson. It's a standalone, so no commitment, and it's awesome. I have a friend of mine who actually read it recently because I've been pushing it very hard out there on Sanderson. She was like, okay, I would read Warbreaker, and she fell completely in love with Sanderson's work as well, as everybody would. Please don't be offended. Next, I have two other recommendations. I have Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It's such a cute little book, The Little Prince in English. It's super short reads and it's super cute. So yeah, if you want a quick one, go with that. And if you want a French one, you can go with L'éloge de la faiblesse by Alexandre Jollien. It's a non-fiction philosophical work. Alexandre Jollien is physically and mentally heavily handicapped. He lived for 27 years in an institution, but that doesn't keep him from believing in his dreams and making them come true. And that's what he's talking about in this book. It's a discussion between him and Socrates, an antique philosopher. This book, I've read it a few years back and I completely loved it. So if you read French, maybe try this. Next, we have Defense Against the Dark Heart, which is a book set at sea or on the coast. And for this, I have quite a few recommendations. First, Agatha Christie and Then There Were None. It's set on an island, so coast and sea. And Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Do I even need to explain? Like, okay. And then we have Where the Crawdads Sings by Delia OWENS. It's set in the marsh and the swamps of Northern Carolina. It's a thrillery read, and most of the book talks about the environment of the swamp. So I thought it would be a very nice read for that. And we have two fiction, part of series, Red Seas and the Red Skies by Scott Lynch, which what I think from the cover is on the boat, so and from the title, it's the second book in the Gentleman Bastard series, and I have yet to read that one. So next we have Ship of Magic by Robin Hood. It's the first book in the Liveship Traders series, the one that comes after the Farseer trilogy. So if you know a bit about Robin Hobb's worlds, this is the first book in one of her series that goes in the bigger series even more. So and I heard it's a better point to start than actually the Farseer trilogy. I didn't really enjoy the Farseer trilogy. I've read that last year and I still have to read the next book because I wasn't really into it. I believe it's on ship that can think and talk for themselves. something like that. So next, divination. This is a random kind of prompt, like you can assign numbers to your books and then just pick one at random, so I cannot really recommend anything for you guys. But then I have Herbology, and this is title start with an M. And for that, of course, I have any Mistborn from the Mistborn trilogy. Then we have some poem by Rupicourt, Milk and Honey. And then we have Madame Bovary by Flaubert, a French classic. I still haven't read it, so I cannot tell you a lot about it. We have Macbeth by Shakespeare. And we have a lot of Agatha Christie, pretty much any that start with the mystery, the murder, the mysterious something. So quite easy to find your pick in Agatha Christie's world. And then we have History of Magic, which is a book talking about witch. So I would recommend Circe by Madeline Miller. It's set in the Greek mythology, and Circe is a witch. And I would recommend as well his Dark Materials. There are witches in there, if that's your thing. Of course, the Witcher series, first book, The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. And then, of course, because it's Harry Potter Magical Readathon, any Harry Potter books, this one is the Philosopher's Stone. It's the beautiful 20 years edition in the Ravenclaw, because I am Ravenclaw. Like, you will see me wearing a lot of blues for those videos. Like, I want to show, that's the only thing I have that is kind of Ravenclaw. Like, I don't have any wizarding baguettes or anything to play with, so I try to dress in blue. And then The Wise and the Wicked by Rebecca Prodos. It's stories of Russian witches in Vermont, I believe they are. Then we have Muggle Studies, which we study Muggle, so any books as a perspective of a Muggle. Contemporary non-fiction, like whatever you want. So that's quite easy. I would recommend Taylor Jenkins Reid's The Seventh Husband of Evelyn Hugo or Daisy Jones and the Six. It's super good, super fast, and it follows famous people. So if you like that kind of prompt, one is like in a cinema and the other one are in band, so music, more of music, and you can listen to it. One of them, Daisy Jones and the Six, has a full cast of people reading it on the audiobook, and it's super nice if you want to read that. I would recommend as well Alice Oseman. I really like her work. So Radio Silence, Born This Way, I haven't read yet. Heartstopper, talked about. There is also books in the Heartstopper world I didn't know. There's two books, Solitaire and Nick and Charlie, that follows kind of the same people, and I would maybe really like to read that. Of course, how can you follow Muggles more than in Little Women? That is everything. It's such a great book. I've been pushing it on you guys for so long, and yeah, if you haven't read it, this is the good time. It's such a heartwarming book, and I cannot believe that in our day and age it's still relevant. The stories of those four girls is still super relevant. Please read it. And I would recommend any of Eric Emmanuel Schmidt's book from the Invisible Cycle series. Eric Emmanuel Schmidt is a French author. He writes small contemporaries. He's well known and translated for his Invisible Cycle series, that every single book is focus on one religion, and it's little snippet, little nuggets of wisdom from different religion. Mila Repa is Buddhism, Monsieur Ibrahim and Le Coran, Mr. Ibrahim and the Flowers of the Coran is Islamic. Les 10 enfants que Madame Ming n'a jamais eu, the 10 kids that Mrs. Ming never had, is Confucianism, I think. And of course, Oscar et la Dame en Rose, Oscar and the Lady in Pink, it's about Christianity, and it's a super nice read. If you want a short, heartwarming book, read one of those ones. You won't be disappointed. And second to last, Potion. This one is a shrinking potion, so less than 150 pages books, which can be a bit difficult to think about because 150 is super short. So what I would recommend is graphic novels. They are usually 150 pages. Heartstopper, Avatar and Last Airbender have graphic novels, and they are really good if you want to try those. any graphic novels that you like. There usually are some short non-fiction or self-help book that you can read. What I was thinking of, No One is Too Small to Make a Difference by Greta Thunberg. This is a great book, especially right now if you want to try that. Plays are usually under 150 pages. You can read a Molière like Tartuffe, or you can read a Shakespeare. You could read a collection of poems like Milk and Honey, or other collection of poems. Give me a recommendation if you know any, because I would really like to get into poetry, but I don't know where to start. And I thought some Voltaire. They are usually short and quite fun to read. I don't know the titles in English, but this one is Candide and this one is L'Ingénu. You have also Zadig by Voltaire. This is where the brands get its name from. And then I would recommend The Hound of Baskerville by Arthur Conan Doyle, and The Great Gatsby as well if you want some grandeur, some glamour, and some dancing. And last but not least, Transfiguration, Animagus, books or series that includes shape-shifting. And this one got me thinking a lot, because shape-shifting, the first thing I think about is Twilight, and I really don't want to read Twilight again. I've read it when I was young and no thank you. But I can recommend The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski again, the Witcher series. They have some shape-shifting in there. I could recommend Beauty and the Beast if I thought that was a good book. That's a big. Of course, Harry Potter, the one you actually learn more about Animagus and stuff, is in the third book, The Prisoner of Azkaban. So I would recommend this one for this prompt. And last recommendation, I would recommend the Mirror Visitor series by Christelle Dabos. The first book in this installment is Winter's Promise, and it's not really as much as people shape-shifting, but people putting illusion into your head, so you see different, so you see the things differently as they actually are. So yeah, that's quite a cool concept, and I like the series, and I like that it's a French fantastic series that is trying to get out there in other language and stuff. So if you have heard of it and you were maybe thinking of picking it up, maybe now it's the time to actually pick it up and read it for the O.W.L.s Readathon. So that's all of the books that I would actually recommend for you guys to read during the O.W.L.s Readathon. Let me know in the comments if you're going to try any of those, if you're participating in the O.W.L.s Readathon, and I will see you in my OWL TBR. Bye!